Let's talk about what I call the SHOTAFICATIon of Japan, which began in 1988 with the release of Wataru. Wataru was a children's gag anime, but it was tremendously important to the extent that Watanabe Yumiko here, she calls Wataru a Shota trigger. For the first time, the boy protagonist was drawn in a very cute way. He was short and his face was not tall, as had been the case in previous anime. So Wataru had a completely new character design, and this can also be seen in the follow-ups to Wataru made by the same production company, Sunrise Studios, most notably Granzoto, where you see the protagonist Daichi run around in quite skimpy clothes. That's at least what Mandaringo writes in this book, the Shotaro from 1996. She notes that Daichi's clothes reveal a lot of skin, and Mandaringo calls this chirarism. Chirarism might be translated to titillation, meaning that you show some skin despite it's not really undressed. So we have the situation here that both Watanabe Yumiko in 1998 and Mandaringo in 1996 noted that Wataru and the follow-ups to Wataru attracted a secondary audience in the form of adult women who liked cute boys. Both these authors note that it was not only the cuteness of the boy that made this anime very popular among adult women, but also the fact that the boy always had a rival or a best friend. And it's interesting that in Wataru, the rival, Torao, is only introduced in episode 21, but in the follow-up, Granzoto, the rival or best friend to Daichi, Rabbi, is introduced already in episode 4. So it's almost as if Sunrise Studios had learned the successful recipe and they wanted to do it again. Mandaringo writes that these boys do everything for each other and they will sacrifice their lives for each other. So already in episode 6 of Granzoto, Daichi saves Rabbi from drowning because the rabbit people can't swim. And this touching and very intimate scene is almost a direct copy of episode 39 of Wataru, where Wataru and Torao, they are underwater, and first Wataru saves Torao from a falling stone, but then he passes out himself, and then Torao saves Wataru from drowning. And there are also near-drowning dramas in both Yamato Takeru and Akazukin Chacha, although without the payoff of being saved by the best friend. I went to Yokohama to talk to sociologist and historian of BL manga and Shotacon manga, Yoshimoto Taimatsu, to ask him what was it that happened here really in the end of the 1980s with this surge of anime with cute boys.
でショタっていうものが現れたことによって見方が変わったというのはあると思います。例えばその昔からその少年向けアニメには男の子向けアニメには男の子が出てくるのは当たり前でだったわけなんですけれども、ショタっていう概念が出てきたことによってそれを性的に楽しむ、その可愛さを性的に楽しむっていう目が、僕一人逃げてたまるか。子供は普通に自分たちと同世代のキャラクターとしてそういう男の子キャラクター、女の子キャラクターを楽しむんですけれども、年の上の人たちがこういうキャラクターを性的な目で見るようになって。
Okay, so what Yoshimoto sensei is referring to here when he says that when people became aware of Shota, when Shota came, it is a reference to how the doujinshi world started to produce Shota doujinshi, derivative works of primarily Captain Tsubasa in the 1980s. And then the first doujinshi event exclusively for Shota was founded in the 1990s, Shota kept. So that is what he means with this awareness of Shota being a thing, and that trickled back into these anime, Wataru, Granzoto, Granda Musashi, and others. And then that would trickle back again to the doujinshi world, and derivative works would be produced of these series. And then it would come back again to the industry, and the first commercial Shota magazines would be launched in 1996. And there would be a boom of them between 1996 and 1999. And that is what Yoshimoto sensei and also Budoiri sensei have described in depth in their writings, So this is just to explain again and to stress the interplay that existed between the commercial world and the doujinshi world, and how integral that was to the rise of cute boys in anime in the late 1980s and the 1990s in Japan. Watanabe Yumiko writes that men started to fall for these boys when a new kind of boy was introduced. And this happened in 3 Shota masterpieces, Akazukin Chacha, Jei Dekka, and Yamato Takeru. What attracted male Shotakon to these children's anime were not sort of boyish boys, but rather feminine boys, according to Watanabe Yumiko. The 3 characters that were important in this series were Shine from Akazukin Chacha, the main character Yuta from Jei Dekka, and Takeru's friend Roka in Yamato Takeru. And what these characters have in common is that they were a bit shy and quiet, almost a bit feminine. So according to Watanabe Yumiko, the thinking among the male viewers was that, yeah, so he's a boy, but he's still cute. Or he's like a girl, but he is a boy. And then they were attracted by him. And to me, that reflects the fearlessness that can be seen among readers of ero manga in Japan, for example. This fearlessness in appreciating young male beauty, despite you are a man yourself. You don't connect it to your own sexuality or identity or whatever. You just appreciate the anime. And this anime, they really started to push it a bit, because in the relation between Takeru and Roka in Yamato Takeru, for example, there is a confession scene between the boys where Takeru is supposed to leave the village and go out in space, and Roka wants to follow him. But Takeru says that, no, you can't follow. Why do you want to follow me? Why do you want to join? And Roka has all kinds of excuses, but Takeru sort of forces him to, okay, but why do you want to come? Why do you want to come? And finally, Roka says that, and this is of course very sweet. And so this scene started a history of confession scenes between boys. And when watching all these robot anime from the late 1980s and early 1990s, I was struck by how similar they are, and how similar they also are to Neon Genesis Evangelion and to Sailor Moon. And these were anime that came approximately at the same time. Sailor Moon came in 1992, and the transformation scene in Sailor Moon it's exactly like the transformation scenes in these boys manga. It's very similar. And also Neon Genesis Evangelion, it is a setting and it is a premise of a boy who enters a robot, which is very similar to these boys anime. So I got a deeper understanding for the kind of landscape that this anime emerged in. Okay, so that's it for now. That was about the shotification in the 1980s and 1990s. Next, I want to talk about the ongoing shotification in Japan, which affects not only anime, but the whole society, I would say. But that will be another video. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.